A schema can be thought of as a cognitive framework that helps us to organise the vast quantities of information available for any given object, concept or situation. Think of it as a knowledge structure that provides us with meaning and helps us to organise our experiences. We have schemas for everything. We know what to do in a restaurant because we have a schema for it. We know how to act in an interview because of our interview schema. We know what to expect when we walk into a hotel because we have a hotel schema. So these cognitive frameworks help us to organise information and then use that information quickly, unthinkingly, to predict the future. The key to understanding how we know immediately how to respond in different situations is through the notion of the brain as a search engine. Neuroscience has explored learning and memory, arriving at an interesting theory. When we come across a stimulus, which might be something we see, a sound, a smell, a situation, rather than ask the question of memory, what is this, which might take some time to answer, it poses a similar one. What is this like? The brain searches its memory banks very quickly and returns hits in order of survival value, which are those with the strongest emotional content. Think of it this way. The brain Googles the stimulus and filters the results so that the one at the top is the most salient, which means it's the most important. And that will always be the one with the strongest emotional content. As the neuroscientist Moshe Bar has said, the human brain is proactive in that it continuously generates predictions that anticipate the relevant future. Such predictions need not be created afresh in new situations, but rather rely on existing scripts in memory, which are the result of real as well as previously imagined experiences. This means that our brains generate scripts for us so that we have ready-made responses, sequences of instruction for thinking, feeling and doing that we use automatically in scenarios of everyday life. This is useful because it means we don't have to waste time and energy in considering every available option and outcome for every situation that we might find ourselves in. In fact, it's more than just useful, it's essential for survival. Lasting behaviour change can only be achieved when the brain's Google activity returns a different schema regularly and reliably to the top of the hit list. To continue the metaphor, we must maximise the search engine optimization of the brain for returning healthy response scripts. However, once a schema makes its way to the top of the returns list for any given search, it can be difficult to get an alternative schema to replace it. As we saw earlier in Hot and Cool in Action, Amber came home from work, tired and hungry, and before she knew what was happening, found herself in front of the fridge eating a snack. Outside of her conscious awareness, her brain had Googled a come home from work tired response, which kicked in quickly and unthinkingly. Once Amber had initially reverted to type, so to speak, it became easy for her to just continue with her old behaviours. She was able to justify to herself, it's been a tough day, I'll start again tomorrow. It's easy to explain this as simply a lack of willpower on Amber's part, but in fact, it was a consequence of schema-relevant scripts being returned by her Googling brain. So this has to change. We can change Amber's Google activity by creating new scripts for her, alternative ways of feeling, acting and thinking that are then available to be returned by her search engine brain. Importantly, we increase the likelihood that these new scripts will be returned at the top of the results by increasing their saliency. In other words, their personal importance. We do this by ensuring that these new scripts are fortified with strong emotional content that has unique personal value. In other words, we make these new scripts hot. You're going to learn how to do this in part 2.